South African short film, The Last Ranger, has been nominated for an Oscar award in the category of Best Live Action Short Film. Now, the film follows the endemic of rhino poaching and its effects. Growing up in poverty, Litha, a young, curious girl who one day journeys to sell her father's animal carvings to tourists at a local lodge, meets with events that change her life forever, essentially. Liyabona Mroqoza will become possibly the youngest South African actor who plays lead or supporting role to be nominated for an Oscar. Take a look at this.
Ungathanda njani uhamba nami siyokubona umkhombe wekwenyani ke kodwa?
Bengavuya ndacela.
Angiyawuthanda isigebengu esingothusiwe. Lezi zilwanyana nosapho lwami.
Keep an eye on her, mate. Give the impression we have numbers after her.
Manje amaxesha ke ifika amadoda akhohlakeleyo apha. Azama uthatha impondo zemikhombe.
Kuba?
Nxa imali.
All right, there it is. Take it down.
They're engaged. We need you here.
Pussy, wait for me, please. Wait for me. Finish him. More will come.
Bandlongodlongo kulungile.
The film has received an Oscar nomination, and joining us now is the director Cindy Lee. And we are also joined now, of course, by Liyabona Mroqoza. Congratulations to you and to the entire team on this Oscar nomination.
Thank you. We are still reeling. We actually can't believe it. I'm still screaming inside.
I'm screaming with you. Now, in your interview with my colleague Aldrin Sampier last year, you mentioned that it was easy working with someone like Avumile, who plays the lead character, of course, in the film of the Ranger, because you cast people that you trust to, you know, take on the role, and also she did a great job in really just bringing it to life, right? What was it like working with the then 11-year-old, first time ever actress on a production? At the time, I mean, you were 11 years old when this film was being produced. What was that like?
Well, you know, for me, again, it's all about casting. I would never put somebody in a role that big if I didn't believe that inherently they were able to do it. And when I saw this child's audition, I just knew she could do it. I mean, she nailed this audition. The self-tape was remarkable. So I have to put my trust in her. You know, we had a lot to do on the day, and I needed to believe she can do it, and she did it. She knocked that ball out the park every single take.
That's amazing. Liyabona, you hear that about yourself.
Yeah.
And being officially like the youngest actress to feature in the lead of a production that's been nominated for an Oscar is incredible.
Really such an achievement.
But tell us about yourself. I mean, you were 11 years old when you were casted and acted in this production. Who are you? Where are you from? When did you fall in love with acting?
Okay, so I am Liyabona Mroqoza. Right now, I'm 14 years old. And my whole journey of being in this industry is just so special to me because, yes, I experienced it. And I got to meet wonderful, great, talented people.
Stop it.
But, yes, how I got into acting is basically, I think I have my next door neighbor, Newzroom to thank for basically all of this. She put me into acting because she herself is an actress, and I just wanted to know to explore ways and how to express myself, because I think I'm a very artistic person. Very, yes. I think I am very open-minded, so in ways I try to challenge myself to be the best that I can. So when this opportunity came up, I was just like,
wow.
I'm gonna nail it.
Whoa, speaking of challenges, what did you think was going to be the most challenging part of bringing the character of Litha to life?
with Litha, I feel like everything about her was so much like me. Her curiosity, her adventure spirits, it just related so much to me that I don't think I found anything challenging about it. I think I'd say the challenging part was basically the tears, and because I had to cry.
You had to cry, girl. You cried.
I had to cry. I cried Oscar-winning tears.
I cried with you.
You know. So Litha, I think for me, it just sort of just flowed, and it was just in the moment.
Yeah. And what did you have to do to prepare for that role, especially because it is such a highly intense, emotionally demanding role?
That's a funny thing. Cindy used to ask me all the time. She'd be like, "Have you ever done anything like this?" And I'd be like, "No." And she's like, "What? You're lying." Because she's thinking it was my first time like being on a set, experiencing all these different things. But luckily I had Cindy right by my side, and my mom supports, my family supports, just Evans.
Oh, that is incredible. And thank you so much for bringing the story to light, Cindy, because, I mean, The Last Ranger was inspired by a true story. Of course, we know it's not easy to produce any independent production in our current landscape. What was that process like for you, from thinking about bringing the story of Thandi and, of course, the plight of rhinos to light from a production and a process point of view?
Well, I'm actually really fortunate. My brother wrote the script.
Yeah. And
it came from America. There was a production company called Kindred Films who are organizing, they're doing a whole lot of different films. And we were the second in the slate. So when my brother approached me and said, "Would you direct this film?" I wasn't going to say no. And I mean, also, I love rhinos. We live in South Africa. I'm fortunate enough to go to game farms once a year. So then the trick, you know, because it was Thandi and it was based on a real story. So in 2012, 3 rhinos were poached. 1 survived. That was Thandi. And the vet that saved Thandi's life went to school with David. And David said to Dr. William Folds, one day David was with him at a site of a poaching. And David said, "Well, what can I do?" And Dr. Folds said, "Well, go back to Hollywood and do what you do best." So David wrote the film. And here we are, you know, and we shot it in the Eastern Cape because the real Thandi features in the film. And that was important for us to be with Thandi during the time of filming.
That's incredible.
Which also made it incredibly emotional.
I was about to say, that was like one of the most emotional scenes for me. And I find it interesting that you chose a short film format, which I think is brilliant because of this sort of social media era that we live in. It's easily consumable, but what was the thinking behind making it a short film as opposed to a lengthy feature film?
Well, it was already, I think David had written it originally as a feature film, but then when they approached they were looking for short film scripts, and David decided to rewrite the film into a short film. And it actually worked really, really well. People who watch this they cannot believe how much story we can get into 28 minutes. It feels like you're watching a feature film, which is really interesting to know that you can tell such a big story in such a
short space of time.
Yeah.
Now, before I let you both go, I'd like to know from you, I mean, there's so many nuances to the story. I mean, it's such a dynamic story because you've somehow managed to bring in the human interest, socio-economic perspective of life in South Africa as well. But I'm going to ask you first, and then I'll close off with you. I almost called you Litha. Liyabona. What do you hope the world will take away from the story as we approach Oscar night?
Well, first of all, I'm immensely proud that we have an isiXhosa film at the Oscars, that we have a film. You know, when we recently went to LA and we screened the film, and the Americans don't even realize what is going on in South Africa. So this gives us an amazing platform to tell people what is going on with the rhinos, that we have an issue, we need to save them, and that we can, you know, and if we can bring communities together and everybody can get involved so that we know that it's not just the poachers. You know, we need to support the people that put the anti-poaching rangers who put their life on the line. We need to support the communities who don't have any other income. So when this comes along, it seems like an easy option for them. And I also want to put South African film on the stage. I really do. We make incredible stories. And this just proves that the world wants South African stories.
Absolutely. Well, you certainly have put it on the world stage. Liyabona, what do you hope that the world will take away from this film?
First of all, I think this film is such a great film, not only because of the great storytelling, but also because it tells us and awares us of the rhino poaching, like Cindy said. I think it's just phenomenal to know that people all over internationally will be able to be like, oh, what's this show, The Lost Ranger? What's it about, rhino poaching? And how can we prevent it? And what is happening in South Africa, you know? So I also think I love the fact that it just shows South Africa's beautiful natural, just South Africa's beautiful
the
natural
beautiful landscape, right?
Yes, you know. So I just love the fact that it's national, it's worldwide, it's everyone's going to see it, and the fact that I want people to know that, yes, rhino poaching, it happens in South Africa. Yes, there are communities that are struggling. We must also keep in mind that there are people doing something about it. Like in the name The Lost Ranger, there are rangers who have dedicated their lives into saving and protecting these animals and rhinos. It's just so special.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for that role that you played. You killed it. Go get that Oscar.
Thanks, Masechaba.
Bring it home.
Thank you so much. Yes, go get it.
And bring it here. All right, that was actress Liyabona Mroqoza and director Cindy Lee of Oscar-nominated short film, The Lost Ranger.